Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast, episode 225. And this week's episode is the second in our series of Metal March episodes, where we spend the whole of March looking at metal music. And the first episode, which came out last week, was looking at the history of metal music, going right back to blues music and the influences that has had on metal, to bands like Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, who really kind of the originators of the style, all the way up to today. We talk about key artists, key songs. And if you want to have a real good overview of the metal genre, definitely go and check out the episode. In this episode, we're looking at metal guitar techniques. So techniques you need to know if you really want to get your metal lead guitar, lead playing or rhythm playing off the ground. So we're going to look at power chords and muting. We're going to look at the gallop rhythm for kind of rhythm stuff. We're going to look at sweep picking and tapping and pinched harmonics and natural harmonics, tremolo picking. We're going to go through a load of techniques. I'll demonstrate them. We'll talk about how to obviously do them. So this episode is going to be great for you if you really want to get some metal techniques under your belt. Also, a lot of these techniques spread over different genres. So power chords you'll see in rock guitar, you'll see in blues guitar, you'll see in all sorts. So a lot of these techniques are just going to be good techniques to get your fingers used to if you haven't already. Before we dive into that though, I do have a little bit of Beginner Guitar Academy news. So this week I've released 3 new quick tips. So quick tips are short, little bite-sized tutorials to get a new technique under your fingers so you can put it straight into your guitar playing. And this week has a metal focus, so you can probably guess. And we look at the gallop rhythm, like Iron Maiden and bands like that use quite frequently. Pinched harmonics, like Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. And we also look at tapping, like Eddie Van Halen. I give an exercise, I talk about a technique, I demonstrate it, so you can start getting that under your fingers and start having some fun with these techniques, which are pretty cool. And that is live in the Academy now. If you go to Dashboard, there's a quick tip section, a link there, and you'll go straight to that section. Also, to remind members that on March the 23rd, so that's a Sunday, we have our live Q&A. That's at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. EST, and 1 p.m. PST. Now, if you can't make that live, don't worry, because I will be sending an email the day before that you can pre-submit your questions. I'll answer them live on the call, but that will be recorded and that will go in the Academy. Also, you'll be able to hear it in the member-only podcast as well. So make sure that's in your diary because that is coming up. March is flying by, so it's not this Sunday, Sunday after as I'm recording this. But yeah, it's going to be great to obviously see everyone and answer lots of questions. So now we've got all of the news out the way. Let's dive into the content for this week's episode. And we're going to begin with our first technique, and that is power chords and muting techniques. So I'm sure you've probably come across power chords. We do this even in level 1 at Beginner Guitar and look at movable power chords in level 2. Power chords are the quintessential chord for any rock guitar, obviously metal, we're talking about today, particularly, but any style of guitar really, you're going to hear power chords. As I say, the basic power chords, you put down another finger, and you get the blues. Probably not with this really heavy tone that I've got in a minute. You don't really hear many bluesers with a metal tone, but gives you an idea of, again, that style. It's like bluesy, you take away that note. And then we get a bit more of a metal sound. So a power chord is a really funny chord because it only has 2 notes in it. So you can do it one finger, you do it multiple fingers. But it has 2 notes. It has the naming note of the chord. So if I play here, we've got E, the E string. And second fret on the A string is a B. So E, F, G, A, B. It's a 1 and a 5 for people who know a little bit of theory. They're the only notes in it. They're the intervals. You've got this perfect fifth. Quite often you add an extra finger. So in the case of this E, you can put the second fret on the D string. That is just another E, that's the octave of the 6 string. So the reason for adding in that extra note, so you've got a 3-note power chord rather than the 2, it just adds a bit more weight behind it. There's 2 strings, there's 3, just adds a little bit more. So that's the main thing of power chords, and then we can move that around the neck. You can hear power chords in loads of stuff from obviously like Iron Man. So that smells like Teen Spirit. We could be all day in loads and loads of stuff. So that's the power chord. We really want to get power chords down. Now, if you're a beginner guitar kit member, I have a whole workshop on how to get to grips with power chords, which goes through everything you need to know. You can check that out in the workshop section. Other thing we'll talk about is palm muting. Now, this is the secret really to get a tight rhythm when you're playing these kind of things. So you hear straight away, it tightens up the sound. So as I put my palm muting on top, goes down. There's with. And all I'm doing there is resting the side of my hand. So it's called palm muting, but I'm not using the palm, I'm using the side to lay on the strings. You get that chug sound. Make sure your palm isn't too far back, or you're going to be on the bridge. You're going to get any muting. Make sure it's not too far forward, or you get too much. So just trying to find that sweet spot. And a lot of the techniques we can talk about today are you have to sit there, play around with them, move them around to get that. Now, some good songs to listen to for the power chord stuff. I said Iron Man, that's a cracking one for the power chords. Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Again, some of those already referenced. Palm Muting, Master of Puppets by Metallica. Raining Blood by Slayer. And Walk by Pantera. I'll really go on to check out to really hear palm muting in action. So there's our first couple of techniques, palm muting and power chords. So let's move on to the next. So now we're going to look at alternate picking and speed techniques. So how to play faster and basically cleaner. So first thing is alternate picking. So I see a lot of people trying to pick just down. Now, the problem with just picking down, it won't take long to hit the ceiling, that you can't get any faster. But when I go down and up, you can hear straight away how much faster that is than just picking downs. So as you're picking down, you've got to come up to do the next down. So by hitting the strings as you come up, you double the speed straight away. So that's the benefit of down-up picking. It's just so much quicker. So you really want to work on your alternate picking. Now, a lot of people leave that out, especially beginners, because it does feel awkward. Because you lose control, you lose accuracy. So as soon as you start picking down and up, you finally hit adjacent strings, the accuracy goes. But this is something to work on and build up nice and slow, because it is really essential to work on your alternate picking. It's going to really help get it faster. Again, not if you want to be a shred player, you don't want to play really quickly. It's really going to help make things a lot more fluent. So we definitely work on alternate picking, so alternating between down and up strokes. And a great exercise to do for that is just the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, where you just walk along the E string. Each finger has a fret. You pick down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's a really simple exercise that's going to really help this down-up picking. Now, what I haven't actually mentioned is I'm recording this via video. So if you want to watch me go through this, then go and check out the website, bgapodcast.com. You'll find the video there. You'll find the show notes. You'll find a blog post as well. All there for you. So if you prefer to watch it, you prefer to read it, then you can do that, obviously, over there. Good song for that is Bleed by Meshuggah. I think I pronounced that right. And Holy War's The Punishment Due by Megadeth. So some good songs to check out for the alternate picking stuff. Right, let's now move on to the next technique. So now we're going to look at tremolo picking and gallop rhythms. So tremolo picking is where you rapidly pick one note. So it's alternate picked, down, up, just played very quick. Now you hear this in rock as well. Great song. You know Till That Love by Van Halen? He has this. He goes up the neck doing his tremolo picking. Santana does it quite a lot as well. So yeah, so you hear it again in all genres. So this is one of those techniques that you're going to learn because you're going to see it all over the place. But it does sound cool. So it's just trying to pick really fast. You've got to have your down, up, alternate picking really in place to be able to do this. And some little tips here are to grip the pick quite low. So you've only got a small amount of the pick sticking out from the end of your fingers. The more pick you have sticking out, the more likely it's to get stuck in the string so you can't get the movement. So you just want to be stroking the top of the string, not digging in too much. I remember when I first started playing, I was getting this sound. When my plectrum was actually tapping the scratch plate of the guitar. If you got that, you're definitely going too far in the strings. You just want to be nudging the very top of the string, trying to go too far. So obviously, then you can just get real good speed if you just touch the top of the string lightly. And then make sure your pick strokes are quite narrow. So we don't want to be picking too far away from the string after you've played it. We want to keep the pick nice and close. So those two things by themselves really help speed this up. So keeping the pick close to the string and only holding that little bit. So there's only a little bit sticking out from your fingertips. So that's going to make the next technique we talk about a lot easier to play as well. So that's tremolo picking. So fast picking on the string. Next thing we're going to talk about is the gallop rhythm. And a gallop rhythm is based on 16th notes. 1 and a. But we're not playing the second 16th note. 1 and a. 1 and a. 1 and a. 2 and a. 1 and a. 2 and a. We play it faster. It sounds a bit more metal. Barracuda by Heart is a great one for that. And another good one for that is the Trooper. So it's a verse pattern there. And I'll go for that in a quick tip, as I said earlier, that has been released this week. So go and check out, guys, if you want a bit more detail of the gallop rhythm. But that is quintessential, especially for Iron Maiden stuff. So some great songs to check out for the tremolo picking would be Angel of Death by Slayer and I Am the Black Wizards by Emperor. And for the gallop rhythm, check out Trooper by Maiden, which I said about earlier, and Battery by Metallica. So check them out to hear those techniques, and let's move on to the next. So now we're going to talk about harmonics. So natural harmonics and pinched harmonics. Now, you've probably heard natural harmonics. I actually played them a minute ago in Barracuda. It's that kind of chimey sort of sound. So you hear that quite a lot, especially cool to put a bit of whammy on there as well. And you play that just by placing your finger above the metal, very lightly, not really pushing down. So if you want to play a 12th fret, my finger's on the metal between fret 12 and 13. And we get that sound. So that is natural harmonics. And a great song to check out for that is Laid to Rest by Lamb of God. And then pinched harmonics are where you get those squeals. Now that's a bit more complicated. That's a bit more difficult to get this one. So you're picking the string, but then touching it with your thumb just after you picked it. Now, again, there's a quick tip video which I released this week, so go and check that out in the Academy, guys, so I'll go for that in a bit more detail. And a great riff to check that one out is Cemetery Gates by Pantera and Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. So yeah, really fun riff to play. Really nice one to get down the pinched harmonics. So that is technique number 4, harmonics and pinched harmonics. Let's now move on to the final technique, sweep picking and tapping. Now, you may have heard of sweep picking. You may have heard of economy picking. You may have heard a few different picking. Obviously, talked about alternate picking a minute ago. We were playing down up in a single string. Sweep picking is where you're basically like sweeping down the strings. So you're playing one string at a time, using quite often arpeggios. So try and get it nice and smooth as you're sort of sweeping around. And the idea is you can get quite a lot of speed there because you're moving one direction. As long as you've got the synchronization, it's syncing up both hands, which is really the tricky bit with sweep picking. But it's used, say, for fast arpeggio runs. It creates really fluid, smooth sort of sound. So bit tricky, getting the synchronization, but once you can do that, it sounds really cool. Now, a great song to check out for this is Fury of the Storm by Dragon Force. And then tapping is the last technique we're going to talk about, made famous by Eddie Van Halen, where using your picking hand to tap. It's like a hammer on the guitar neck. And that's basically the exercise we go through in the quick tip that I've put in the Academy this week. So definitely go and check that out, guys, if you want to go in a bit more detail about that. To hear that technique, go and check out Eruption by Van Halen's classic track from 1978, and Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force. You'll hear lots of tapping, especially in kind of metal music, but it's cool. It sounds cool. You can create really rapid, smooth melodies from doing it. So yeah, it's definitely something you want to check out. And there we go, guys. So 5 metal lead guitar techniques you want to get down, especially if you want to get more into metal, or if you just want to become a more diverse guitar player, because these are techniques, as I said, you'll see in multiple different genres. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast so you miss out on future episodes, especially our run of Metal March. Next week is 10 riffs you must know, or 10 metal riffs you must know that we're going to be going through. So make sure you check that one out. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I really appreciate a rate and review over in the Apple Podcast app. It's going to be a nice shiny 5 stars and maybe just a few lines about what you like about the podcast. And if you're struggling learning guitar online and you want content, you want coaching, and you want community, you want everything that an online guitar school will give you, or good online guitar school, then come check out my online guitar school, beginnerguitaracademy.com, because that's what we do there. There's a structured syllabus, there's coaching for me whenever you need it, so there's basically video exchange unlimited, So you can send me a video, I'll send you back one, and you can tag me in the forums. We have live Q&As, so you can basically get my feedback whenever you need it. And we've got a really, really nice community. So really supportive community of like-minded guitar players from across the world, all helping one another to become better. And the best thing, at the minute, you can get a 2-week trial of Beginner Guitar Academy just for $1. And you'll be able to sample all of the stuff I've talked about in this lesson, the workshops, the quick tips. You'll be able to look at the 5-level system. You'll be able to basically do everything. So come check out $1 for 2 weeks over at beginnerguitaracademy.com. So guys, that's it for me this week. So make sure you check out the next episode next Friday, where we're going to look at 10 must-know metal riffs. But until then, have a fantastic week. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll chat to you next week.